Monsters infiltrated the world, causing it to succumb to despair. People fought until their last breath to safeguard the place they called home. Among those brave souls was the protagonist of this story, Carcelian Levandian, who fought against the menace just as viciously. Many years passed with him battling countless monsters, relentlessly piling up dead bodies with the only blade he had, and not an ounce of fear in his heart. Then finally, a day came when he fought Aaron's brother from another mother. That bastard was one tough nut to crack. The battle was brutal, but he eventually took down the piece of shit. In the aftermath of the battle, he too succumbed to death. But fate had other plans. With his soul drifting through this endless void, he met a human boy hailing from some planet known as Earth. The boy's name was Seo Dojin, who was on the brink of death for some unknown reason. Before dying, he wanted to make a simple request to Vandayan, who immediately refused even before listening to what this boy wanted to say. After all, bro just wanted to die peacefully. He was done with all the shit. He lost his country to the monsters, lost his loved ones, and eventually died a dog's death. While this boy Seo Dojin didn't really want to live either, he desperately wanted his family to have a good life. Well, it seems like Vandayan is finally ready to listen to this dude's request. The boy lights up like a kid in a candy store and musters up the courage to say he wants his family to live peacefully. And so, our boy gladly takes on the job to protect this boy's family, and finds himself on Earth. Now rocking the body of that teenage boy Dojin, our guy is on a mission to infiltrate Namsen Gate, which is ranked C for obvious reasons. Only registered heroes are allowed to enter, so the automated machine keeps blaring at him to scan his ID card, which our guy obviously doesn't have. He simply crashes through the guarded and authorized building to enter the gate, triggering the security alarm blaring about the infiltration. Once inside, he starts walking around trying to find monsters to smash. That's when he stumbles across a party of heroes, folks who have official licenses and permission to be there. They assume our boy is someone who got lost and offer to show him the way out, especially since they're heading for the exit too. Dojin stays silent, giving off a weird vibe. Even these heroes can tell something's off. He's wearing casual clothes and doesn't look like a hero at all. Sure, porters nowadays dress more casually, but our boy's outfit is way too simple for its own good. And what's up with that bag on his back? For all they know, he's probably just a clueless porter who got abandoned by the party he originally came with. Then again, they're not so sure. Dojin finally speaks up, acknowledging why they're feeling super skeptical, but makes it clear he came here on his own without any hero's party. Hearing this, one of the heroes sighs, understanding the reason behind our boy's presence. He has seen plenty of cases where people catch a hard boner to become a hero and hunt monsters after watching some flashy TV commercials. But that burst of motivation can get someone killed real fast if they barge into gates recklessly without going through legal procedures. First, you need to get officially certified as a hero. Then you go through training and testing. Not to mention, this gate is C rank for a reason. If you're a rookie just starting your career, you better go find an F rank gate before you lose your life for real. After listening to this dude yapping and generously handing out advice no one asked for, Dojin makes it abundantly clear he doesn't need shit. Naturally, the crew of heroes is bewildered by this kid clapping back with such a cold tone. After all, they were just trying to help. So they get a bit pissed, but the leader tells his comrades to hold their horses. If the guy doesn't want help, then fine, leave him be. The leader is confident this kid will eventually learn the hard way why you don't cover your ears when someone wise is talking. They hope he finds out just how unforgiving these gates are, unlike the TV shows that glamorize being a hero like it's the second coming of Christ. Soon enough, Dojin finally comes across a giant troll staring him down, ready to eat him alive. The monster unleashes an attack, only to miss and hit the ground. Bro moved so fast the troll couldn't even process what the hell happened. Then he balls up his fist and delivers a devastating punch, hard enough to blow the orc's face clean off. It's basically something out of One Punch Man, or Omni-Man on a killing spree. Now that the monster's out of the picture, here comes the juicy part. Time to loot, baby. First, he grabs the sword that bastard was carrying. Then he uses that same sword to dig further into the monster's body, and extracts a shiny gemstone. It's actually a low-grade magic stone, so insignificant that Dojin never even bothered with them before in his previous life. But since he's broke right now, he's got no choice. Suddenly more monsters swarm the area, pissed after seeing their buddy decapitated. Dojin turns around and chucks the gemstone so fast it literally blows one of their heads clean off. The other two dumbasses charge in like they've got some death wish they want fulfilled. Well, Dojin's more than happy to grant it. While he's wreaking havoc, we cut back to the crew of heroes trudging through this monster-infested territory. Currently, their minds are still stuck on the encounter they had with that young man. The orange-haired woman is actually worried about Dojin's well-being, fearing he might end up dead. But the leader of the pack assures her that's highly unlikely. If he is some unauthorized guy who barged into the gate, agents from the control center will find him soon enough. Those agents on missions are always B rank or above. And since this gate is C rank, there's no way in hell he's dying here. As long as the kid steers clear of recklessly rushing at monsters, he's got no chance of losing his life. The Baldy agrees with his leader's assessment. He's pretty sure the arrogant brat must be trembling in fear, waiting for the agents to save his ass from doom. Well, the story is pretty much the opposite. It's our guy who's literally making these plus-sized sandbags shake in fear. One punch and the prey is down. He's so fast they can't even touch him. let alone crush him under the weight of their blades. He appears right behind one of the dumbasses and delivers a kick so hard it demolishes the guy's head. With all the suckers down, he grabs one of their swords and proceeds to harvest the sweet magic stones all for himself. After a while, he's done stuffing his bag and ready to leave. Though honestly, he's pretty disappointed with today's grind. It's basically dead weight in his bag, all those low-grade gems. Right then, one of the agent guys finally spots him and calls out to his buddies. Before our guy can fully turn, those suited men give him a tough stare down. First, they explain they're from the gate control center and suggest he show his hero registration card. If he's unregistered, he has to come to the control center with them. Our guy isn't sure about that, which makes the suited dude tense up even more and get colder, insisting he cooperate and follow the proper procedures. The only response the suits get is annoyance etched all over our guy's face, and all this unnecessary drama killing his mood. Then again, bro ain't got the energy to argue. He just turns to leave. Since words aren't working, the suits threaten handcuffs if he refuses to comply. Physical force may be used if necessary. One of the more impatient ones dares to grab our guy's hand and threatens him with the injuries he'll sustain if he refuses to cooperate. What's worse, all responsibility will be on his shoulders. So it's everyone's best interest to solve things with words, not violence. Seems like Dojin's done with all the yapping, so he grabs that bastard's hand back and warns him to stop sticking out like a thorn in his path. This chilling warning makes the poor suit guy instinctively scared. A chill runs down his spine. The other two bastards pull out their magic-infused batons. They're actually grade 4 magic staffs, powerful enough to subdue an orc. But they don't have enough power to hurt our guy physically. So he aggressively twists the bastard's hand, making him whine like the whiny bitch he is. Bro then issues a final warning. They better leave now if they don't want to lose the last shred of dignity they have left. Eventually, duty-bound suits are forced to retaliate with violence. They try their best to tag our guy with the magic staffs, but none succeed. Our guy delivers a crushing blow right into the back of one bastard, then hits another in the belly. Next, he focuses on the guy in glasses, the last man standing. The last dude senses what's coming and gets tense. Dojin blurs away, vanishing into thin air, causing the bastard to panic at literally seeing a man disappear. Then, out of nowhere, comes a sneaky punch right into the gut, making the bastard stagger backward in pain. Seems like Dojin is tired of all the bullshit and agents chasing him, so he finally starts thinking about registering as a hero after all. The agent assures him that as long as he avoids shady or illegal stuff, no agents will be out hunting him. Dojin then questions this thing called a rift, a question that completely throws the agent off. Quick context on how this world operates. There are multiple passages connecting to another world where strange monsters live. These passages are scattered across the world. The gemstones harvested from monster corpses are used as new energy sources, making them highly coveted. Because of this, the government oversees these passages to maintain full control over each one. Every government-controlled and open passage for heroes is called a gate. Passages that aren't controlled or enclosed are known as rifts. Back to our boy, who finds it ridiculously annoying that these suits follow him everywhere, accusing him of trespassing no matter which gate he passes through. The poor agent explains that if an unregistered hero enters a gate without permission, the control center is automatically notified, and agents waiting nearby are dispatched immediately. Since our guy is thinking about entering a rift, the agent makes it clear these aren't as easy to access as any gate. Trespassing into a rift results in a strict punishment, no warnings, no plea deals. Dojin isn't interested in hearing any of that, so he grabs the poor guy by the face and throws him aside like a trash bag. By now, the poor agent regrets not calling headquarters. This shit's way over his pay grade. Before leaving, Dojin takes one last glance at the trash agent lying there, thinking about what a weakling this dude actually is. The weakling seems to have a fractured arm and is busy shouting threats, promising to catch our boy and put him behind bars. The scene transitions to Seoul, Gas and Digital Complex in Gyeongcheon District. This giant building is now known as the Hero Complex. Here, all trades related to magic stones or anything found in the gates go down. And nowadays, this place is busier than ever. Dojin can be seen heading toward one of the stores that deals in buying and selling magic stones. Upon entering, he's greeted by this Gen Z bastard, busy scrolling through brain-rotting Insta-reels. When Dojin says he wants to sell some magic stones, the cunning shop owner immediately starts preaching about his business, claiming this branch offers the highest prices to their clients. He even goes as far as saying they're the best in the whole country. Dojin finally puts all the low-grade gems smeared in monster blood on the counter, causing the store owner to put on this sour expression like he just got boned from behind. He's seriously grossed out by all the blood stuck to the stones. Regardless, he doesn't complain and moves forward with the transaction. Dojin is asked if he wants some coffee while the stones are being processed. A little while later, he is sipping coffee while the shop owner carefully cleans the blood off the stones. Afterwards, the owner calculates the total amount due. There are 12 low-grade magic stones, 16 medium-grade ones, plus 5 upper and lower-grade stones as well. After deducting a 40% commission, Dojin is set to receive around 5.5 million won. Well, our boy isn't too comfortable handing over 40% as commission. It just feels unfair because he did all the hunting and wasted his time. So how the hell does this bastard think he's entitled to nearly half the money? The shop owner proudly claims he's being generous, charging only 40%, especially since every competitor in this business charges 45% or more. He's so confident that he even offers Dojin to take his stones back if he doesn't like the price. After all, no one else will offer more, or at least that's what this bastard claims. Our guy ain't falling for that trap and starts stuffing his precious stones back into his bag. Seeing his tricks aren't working, the bastard grabs Dojin's hand before he leaves and demands compensation for the appraisal and the coffee he drank. It's 30,000 won for the appraisal plus an extra 10,000 for the coffee. Not to mention, all the blood he had to wipe off ruined his expensive towel. With everything added up, Dojin supposedly owes the guy around 350,000 won. Dojun isn't giving in to these unreasonable demands, no matter how hard this crazy bastard pushes. Seeing nothing's working, the bastard stoops to street-level tactics and threatens Dojin with the C-class heroes he has as his guards. Right then, those big guys barge in through the back door, asking why they were called. If anyone's causing trouble, they're ready to deal with them. Dojin in response shoots a sharp glare at the bastard, who stares right back with the same intensity. A while passes, and the scene cuts to the terrified, sweaty face of the shop owner, who had been acting cocky like he was the main character. But he got a reality check when Dojin took down his 3 pigs, without breaking a sweat, making it clear who the real MC is. My guy then walks up to the counter and smoothly negotiates the commission down to 1%, no questions asked. We all know there's no arguing when someone like Dojin is staring straight into your soul like that. So the deal goes through, and Dojin walks out with a fat stack of cash for the haul he collected with his sweat, or rather, his fists. His grandma and sister are both in total awe at the huge amount of money. Grandma even suspects Dojin is pulling a fast one with fake bills. But the guy quickly clears that up, saying the money came from lending cash to a friend who started a business that ended up doing really well. Grandma isn't sure if her grandson even has a friend like that. He tries to convince Grandma with another lie that it was a childhood friend. Eventually, Grandma stops asking questions, at least the big ones. Meanwhile, Dojin's sister is super proud of her big brother for making their family rich. The doting brother pats her and gives her hope about the luxury life they'll be living from now on. The little girl just jumps around happy to be rich. Watching her so happy, Dojin realizes he's actually making progress fulfilling a promise he once made. He remembers the words of the owner of the body he's possessing, whose one dying wish was for his grandma and his half-sister Yoon to live safe and happy lives. That poor guy disappeared right before Dojin could say anything, and when he woke up, he had become Seo Dojin. Now his only mission is to make sure this little family lives safely and comfortably. For that, he wants to buy the safest house in Korea, which currently costs 110 billion won. For him, making money won't be an issue as long as he gets his original strength back. This world shares a lot of similarities with the one he came from, the one that was destroyed. The only big difference is that rifts, gates, monsters here are all marginally weaker than the world he once saw fall. To him, who held the title of Sword God in his previous life, this place is nothing but a sandbox. So far, he's only been fighting at 1/10 of his original power. Suddenly, there's a knock on the door, and the visitor says he wants to see Seo Dojin. Bro stands up and decides to answer. As he opens the door, he finds 2 thugs standing outside. These guys are here to claim a debt Dojin owes, an insane 48 million won. Seeing this, Dojin's sure these are loan sharks. The real Seo Dojin borrowed money from before he left this world for good. Though it was supposed to be just 5 million won originally for his grandma's hospital bills, these guys are charging crazy interest to demand 10 times the original amount in no time. They know he's been making money through gates lately, so they want him to cough up the cash since it's all documented in the contract. But the only repayment these bastards get is a jaw-busting punch right in the big guy's face. That single punch sends the poor thug flying, leaving his partner with his jaw hanging in disbelief. Our guy then gives the scrawny bastard a deadly stare to remind him that over 9 million won has already been repaid. So if you do the math, these bastards should be paying him interest. With another punch that makes the bastard cry like a bitch, Dojin tells him to tell his boss that Dojin's coming to pay a visit. The scene then cuts to the shopping mall, bustling with life. There, we see sweet little Eunyoung lighting up a kid in a teddy bear store. Dojin brought her here for a shopping spree. Today she's free to get anything she wants. You know, our boy wasn't always that soft-hearted Pookie in his previous life. It's the original Dojun's memories that revitalized his dry emotions. It makes his heart warm up to see how kindly Dojin treats Eunyoung, even though she's only his half-sister. So he wants to keep doing the same, and make sure to give all the love he can muster for this little girl. The little girl finally chooses a stuffed toy she really wants. It's a small but cute bunny. She picks it modestly, making sure she's not being extravagant. But Dojin picks a way bigger stuffed toy for her. He doesn't want her to hold back at all. It's her day, and she can pick whatever her heart desires without thinking twice about money. They both treat themselves to some good food too. As they enjoy their meals, an unfamiliar voice calls out our boy's name. It's a middle-aged woman followed by a bunch of bodyguards. This chubby MILF seems like yet another trash talker who loves to hate on our boy. First, she points out his lousy sense of dressing. Then she questions the girl sitting next to him. She's bold enough to throw a jab, saying he must have knocked someone up and had this girl, just like how his mother brought him to this world. Of course, these sharp jabs infuriate our boy beyond anything. Meanwhile, the little girl has no clue who this lady is or why she's trash-talking so casually. This MILF then promptly turns her attention to the girl and asks her name. The girl introduces herself as Lee Eunyoung, which makes this trash MILF realize she's Dojin's sister. Out of habit, the woman throws a jab at her clothes too, calling her a mess. This bitch isn't sparing her deceased mother either. And all of this is just getting on our boy's nerves real bad. But for some reason, he's holding it all in, not trying to get aggressive with her provocations. Even this MILF is pretty astonished at how Dojin is keeping his composure, not falling for her traps. So this bitch decides to go one step further. This fat piece of work is bold enough to ask a child the meaning of harlot. Well, that's the last straw. Dojin snaps and calls her an ugly woman who belongs to a tribe of orcs. Of course, the woman is left wide-eyed and mind blank after getting caught off guard. Let's have a little context to understand why Dojin has been tolerating this woman only so much. You see, Dojin was born an illegitimate child and lived in poverty. At the tender age of 7, his mother died, and he barely made it to his father's house. With his father marrying a new woman, he was shunned by everyone. It only got worse after his father's legitimate wife gave birth to a son, and Dojin was ignored completely. Things got so bad that he got kicked out of the very house he lived in. So he lived with his half-sibling at his grandmother's house. As our boy reflects back, he feels pity for the original Dojin who had to endure all this and still tried to keep a smile on his face like he had no pain in his life. But now he wants to change everything. Seems like this woman is his stepsister, which explains why he was trying to hold himself back. But he won't tolerate her no more. He recalls how he shared a roof with this orc of a woman, and she's just as disgusting as ever. Not only is her personality messed up and her appearance orc-like, she's also dumb as hell. He further crushes her spirit by dropping brutal bombs on how she's a wreck with an inferiority complex. That's the only reason she projects her insecurities onto others by calling them ugly. She's just a gold digger obsessed with others, and that's the real truth the world should know. As he continues to crush her under his sharp jabs, the entire shopping mall watches them like they're the center of attention. The orc lady is totally annoyed and about to lose it, but then Dojin's stepmother walks in. Seeing her mom, the orc lady approaches her like the whiny bitch she is, complaining how this kid just shut her down with words. But this mother is aggravated to see her daughter whining like that and shuts her up with a cold glare. Not gonna lie, bro's got one heck of a stepmom. At first I even thought the orc lady was his stepmom. The hot mama turns her attention to our boy and greets him with utmost grace. She's inviting him to come back home and hang out for some fun. But Dojin knows all too well that this facade his stepmom is putting up is fake. After all, she's the one who caused the most misery and unrest in the 12 years he lived with them. The woman continues reminding Dojin of things he never wants to remember, triggering his PTSD and making him go full serious mode. With a tone colder than your mother's jokes, our guy tells this bitch to get the fuck lost. That's a major slap to her dignity, being shit-talked by someone younger than her. She just twirls around and leaves with the last bit of dignity she has left. For real though, she wasn't expecting him to clap back so sharply. She's left wondering if he's the same guy who would just lower his head even when she slapped him for no reason. Her bitch of a daughter follows along, with their bodyguards also following the both ladies. Honestly, these guards played the perfect role of mannequins in this ordeal. Let's shift our attention to our boy. Seems like these two girls totally ruined the time our duo was having. So our boy decides to be on his way too. The way he reacted to his stepfamily was intentional. He wanted to make one thing clear. The Seo Dojin who couldn't even speak up for himself is gone. It's high time his trash family realizes that. We then cut to a Mercedes zooming down the road. Inside the car, we see both the trash mother and daughter. The daughter is pissed at her mom for just walking out quietly instead of putting Dojin in his place. As she vents her frustration and curses our boy for the humiliation they suffered, the mother orders her manager to answer why Dojin is still alive. Well, Baldy has no clue how this dude is alive. It doesn't match the reports. The woman blares at the top of her lungs about the bullshit this man is spouting. How the heck could he be alive if they made sure the job was done and clear? The poor guy assures her he'll look into the matter again and make sure this time the job is executed properly. Meanwhile, the trash daughter has no clue what her shady mother has been plotting all along. She's rattled hearing talk about killing and dying. Eventually, the mom poses a question to her daughter, wondering if she has feelings for Dojin. This catches the fat pig off guard, making her blush and flustered. Actually, she's worried about Dojin dying because if grandpa or dad find out, they're gonna be in serious trouble. The mother grabs her daughter by the mouth hard enough and drills her to stay the hell away from her business. The mother is dead set on claiming Dojin's life, with no plan to spare him. Especially not after how he dared to talk back to her. Getting rid of him is the best revenge she can think of. A decade ago, the world took a turn to chaos with the appearance of the Rift. This terrifying dimension gave birth to monsters, spawning from the portal, armed with the objective of slaughtering humans upon sight. Their terror didn't stop. It was ceaseless, and eventually demolished the world, scarring it with destroyed cities engulfed in flames. However, just like the appearance of the dark forces, there came the emergence of the light in the form of valiant warriors called the Heroes. With their emergence, the first discovery of mana stones was made from the dead bodies of the defeated monsters. Back to the present. Dojin's going somewhere, reflecting how mana stones quickly shifted the world's dependence from traditional energy sources. Because of their key role, countries decided to center their attention towards the emerging rifts, basically claiming priority over them so they could extract resources. With the current state of the world in motion, all of its industrialization is completely reliant on the concept of gates and the dependence of heroes. And because of that, the profession that can be classified as a hero reaps high rewards. A consistent high salary can only be achieved via becoming a proper hero. Dojin's arrived at his destination, and it's actually the Yongdongpo HCS Capital Establishment. I know that's a mouthful, but you guys will see why he's come here soon. He finds himself entering the building, and upon first glance, the boss and his clowns look like your average run-of-the-mill thugs who want to scare people with their ugly faces. But Dojin is pretty chill about the situation. The boss puts out his cigarette and points out our boy's audacity to not only beat the crap out of his goons, but also to show his face at the door. It really shows that Dojin really doesn't give a flying fudge about anyone. He cleverly tells the organization's owner that in reality, it's actually Dojin himself who found himself at a real loss. That statement is ridiculous from the point of the view of the boss, so he seeks clarification on what our guy means. Dojin clarifies that actually, he's come here to receive his well-deserved compensation. After all, he's endured mental, physical, and materialistic losses all this time because of the existence of these clowns. With his strong and serious words, the boss has noticed one significant change from the boy's personality. Something about the kid has changed. He's no longer the soft-spoken spirit or the gentle person he was. Then there's the added evidence that this same kid destroyed the lackeys he sent to his door. All things considered, the boss's leading suspicion is that Seo Dojin must have experienced a unique kind of awakening throughout his experiences in the gate. Despite knowing this, Dude still decides to act arrogant and tells Dojin that his newfound confidence because of his awakening will become his own undoing. The hypocrite calls our boy for being overconfident in his abilities, and to back up his claims, he brings over a bunch of grumpy men to intimidate him. Of course, he can pack all the muscle he needs, but to the experience of the sword god, they're practically insects in comparison. The boss is talking out of his ass and states that even those awakened people end up getting killed like deadweight and low-class heroes in the end. The funniest part? Bro is under the assumption that Seo Dojin is nothing beyond the level of a D-class hero, and that his organization can easily stomp on someone as weak as that. Meanwhile, Dojin is just chilling on the sofa in the background while 5 guys are staring him down. Without showing even a hint of amusement, he orders the boss to sit the heck back down. The boss is astonished to hear him continue to speak in his previous tone, while Dojin emphasizes with a serious face that he's not done talking. Hearing him say something like that, one of the guys decides to get his balls tripped up and challenges Dojin. Amusingly enough, our boy happily takes off his glasses, adding more to his confusion. And then he hammers a Mike Tyson ballistic universal machine gun rocket punch 9000 in his damn face. The dude is sent flying from the impact while his friends are at a loss for words. But that's not all, because the beating is shared among the group as Dojin knocks down another one. Keep in mind that while he's beating their asses, he's calmly making his points too, sharing his knowledge of the boss's secret shady business underneath the cover of a money-lending business. Dojin aims to punch down an orange-haired punk and proves his knowledge of the counterfeit identification business he pulls. Having landed his punch, he tells the boss that he's in search of a hero identity to officially register as one and make money. Ducking the strike of the final guy, Dojin returns the blow with triple the love. And that's how he made the entire group sleep with his special sleeping routine. Works 100% of the time. Dojin continues his demands, stating that he's in need of a foolproof identification that doesn't cause any trouble for him in the future. The boss is left starstruck by what happened in the span of a few seconds. Our boy reminds him that he's only got one day to forge the identity for him. Some of the men didn't intervene in the fight, by the way, which is a compliment to the NPCs because they're the type to challenge God while being a level 1 rookie in most stories. The boss is out here tripping for life as he begins to question and assess Dojin's skill level. At the least, this guy appears to be B-class in strength. Bro is so lost in his thoughts that he has to be reminded by the kid to snap out of it. He happily accepts the job too. Finally, Dojin grabs his shoulder politely and contrasts it with an intimidating expression on his face. He wants to know if Hong Heju, his stepmother, ordered a hit on him. Of course, this is actually pretty much the case, evidenced by the conversation she had with her daughter and assistant earlier. The boss is at a loss for words until Dojin forces his grip so hard that the guy yelps in pain. Even his scrubs are looking helpless for their boss. I have to say they should really change their barbers too. Anyway, the boss breaks down and reveals her heinous strategy. This cruel scheming woman actually wanted to suck the life out of Dojin's bank account, forcing him to so much financial instability that he doesn't have any other way but to take his own life to escape from it. Now that is a definition of an evil fucking plan, especially towards your son, even if cast away. Those were her orders. Dojin hears this, and after enough of his begging and crying, he lets the man free, questioning if that's also one of the reasons they locked him inside the gate. The boss turns into an innocent little guy who had nothing to do with that incident, even going as far as to reveal that he wouldn't get paid for the execution if he died inside the gate. That's probably one plausible reason why he couldn't have done something like that, and it already has Dojin thinking. He utters the words, Kang Cholwoo, which is actually the name of the guy who brought him to the gate in the first place. Effectively, Dojin wants to know every last piece of information of the guy until tomorrow. With his 2 demands stated, he leaves politely, completely changing the atmosphere of the room from which he first entered. After that conversation, Dojin is left with a deep contemplative state again. The real Seo Dojin only had one desire. He wanted to protect his little sister and his beloved grandmother no matter what. On top of everything that happened, it just adds another layer of misery and shows the kind of life the poor kid had to endure while being helpless. But not to worry, because the sword god is ready to do what he must in order to set the record straight. The following day, guess what? Our boy's officially registered. And he's also got a B rank rating, which is convenient, unlike all the other stories where the main character just has to be at the lowest possible rank for style points. Tapping the card on the machine, he proves the card's legitimacy because it recognizes his identity into the system. However, it warns him that the rank is still lower than the dangerous quest he's about to take. This is actually pretty annoying to our boy, who thinks that maybe he should have peeved the bastard to assign him a higher rank so that he couldn't run into these problems. Despite the system's repetitive warnings not to enter the gate far above his level, Dojin doesn't give a damn and goes anyway. Let's talk about the specifics of the Night Island gate. It's actually just a B rank gate, but the logic doesn't mean a B rank hunter can survive it. Heroes are always recommended a class higher than the gate rank for mission safety. Anyway, the scale of the dungeon is considered rank D, which means it's spread out and will be difficult for solo hunting. The good thing, however, is that it's in the form of tunnels, which means to some capacity, solo hunting won't be that hard for him this time. Because of the gate's scale, it is highly recommended that an A rank hero take on the task. But the words risk and danger don't exist in our boy's dictionary. If anything, the worst that could happen is that he'll have to face off against an entire fleet of monsters in a narrow tunnel with little to no room. Dojin smiles at his first opponent, which is a giant serpent with a chaotic purple aura. For most heroes, this would be a sign of terror, but for him this is a sign of good luck, as he prepares his gauntlets to get the battle started. Oh, and by the way, the serpent has a bunch of its friends too, and their tongues remind me of the Alien movie. Anyway, they do their best to attack, but it's pointless, because our boy is such a killing machine that he snatches and collects the mana stones like the monsters never even existed. The Black Killing Viper is a class of monster that is known for its hyperactive paralysis poison that can knock anyone down even with the slightest contact. With that in consideration, Dojin charges to propel himself at bullet speed and launches full swing. In a short span of time, he's about to slice and dice the creature all over its body, splashing blood until he severs the monster in half. With the creature defeated, Dojin notices his equipment. The gloves he purchased are ensuring the poison doesn't get in contact with him, and for the price of 300,000 won, they're holding their ground. Returning to the hunting session, Dojin turns his attention to 4 more of these ugly limbless lizards and begins blasting right through their heads with his powerful speed. More and more blood splashes out until the vipers are sent to the afterlife. Dojin stands there, busy searching for a bunch of magic stones by clawing from the monster's flesh. To his disappointment, there isn't any magic stone around. But this is according to the rules of the previous or the original world, and in that, these monsters only have a drop rate of 3% for mana stones. This means that he's got to hunt down at least hundreds of them for good loot. Walking his way along, he discovers Mr. Bonehead. You might be thinking it's the boss, but Dojin's got a different opinion, and as he asks the oversized serpent if he's the boss monster, because definitely the snake will answer like a good friend. Anyway, Dojin thinks it's a good thing this big guy appeared because he won't have to worry about getting lost anymore. Spiraling into an immediate strike, he plans to end the battle quickly to return home. But then, an unexpected thing happens. Despite having successfully landed a brute strike, his punch doesn't have any effect on the creature. Bro just gave him a tattoo on the head instead. While he's in the air and unable to dodge, the creature bashes him into the wall with its tail. Dojin sits there having crash landed. It probably gave him a reality check about the boss monster's strength, I think. The creature whips out its poisonous fangs and hisses at him like the average girlfriend when she's hungry. The creature attempts to bite him down, but luckily he evades the attempt. Using the momentum of his evasive maneuver, he bolts right back into motion with a powerful punch that connects with the creature's body and leaves more cracks against its hard shell. From this second attack, one thing has been made clear to him. The boss monster has an unusually tough exterior, making it a greater challenge than the rest of the vipers he disposed of. The shell is so powerful at his current level that he can't penetrate with one strike alone. This reverses the situation on him, making him question if he should aim for a different battle strategy. At his original strength, the sword god would mop the ever-living floor with this beast. But then suddenly he notices something. It's the sword of the warrior who lost his life fighting the boss. And now you guys are about to know why he's called the sword god and not the fist god. Even though the weapon is extremely worn out after the fight, he grabs hold of it, believing that a sword is only as competent as its wielder. With that knowledge in mind and the blade armed in his hand, he walks towards the monstrous snake. The creature propels itself forth to strike him down again. Bursting with incredible speeds, Dojin responds by going high up into the air, proudly declaring that the creature should be honored that he's going all out to kill the beast with a sword. Despite the sword's condition being crap, this guy literally unleashes so many flashing cuts in the span of a few strikes that it leaves the snake's body eviscerated. The serious fight turns into a funny conclusion with the snake dying in the background, while our boy's sword is reduced to dust. It's a good thing he wiped the creature out while it was still holding on. With the boss monster dead, Dojin thinks of a smart idea that I don't really see many other protagonists implement. He takes off one of the fangs of the creature, believing it could be used as a nice material for a short sword with a bit of refinement. Considering this as a reward for his journey, he exits the gate. By the time he's exited the gate, it's already a starry night outside. He spent more time at the B-rank gate than he thought. and with the way things turned out at the end, it only pushed him to pursue and restore his strength back to full health. Also, he's a bit happy that his old friends don't get to see this weak version of him because that would be embarrassing. Back from the hunt, he goes to appraise and sell the magic stones. Before him, there's actually another hero who has come to present his great stash of magic stones. The cheap-ass receptionist treats him like shit and points out that the commission rate is the same as 40%. Even the innocent guy can sense the bullshit behind that overly high rate. He even calls it out, stating his concerns and calling himself a normal guy. The receptionist, just like what he did with Dojin, clarifies that their rate is actually the lowest among all the appraisal trades. The gate center is 5%, but that's without taxes. From the perspective of the sleazy appraiser, this is a great deal for heroes to have that earns them good money. The cash is handed to the hero, who doesn't really complain much, except concerningly asking about the dude's messed up face. The funny thing is how this guy is still repeating the same script even after getting his face bashed in. Bro plays it off, stating that a psychopath first obliterated his guards, and then he left him with this treatment. The hero thinks it's actually the fault of the receptionist for keeping low-ranking guards around at the C-rank level. After all, rank isn't the only thing that matters in their world. Skill plays a huge role too. Rank is actually a false representation of one's abilities and only updated to keep the system intact. The hero is wise to mention that the people of the same rank have a huge variance in skills and abilities, so they can't all be treated the same. Then there's also a difference between a lame watchguard who sits all day guarding the shop, and a hero out there who is actively hunting down beasts for a living. Even though this guy is actually giving him some solid advice, the joker of a receptionist just wants him to stop yapping and leave already. Which he does, offering to help the little dude out if he ever needs something. As he's leaving, our boy walks right past the guy, looking as cold as ever. Upon seeing him at once, the receptionist flinches and bugs the F out. He points at Dojin, shouting that this is the psychopath that made a mess out of him. Turning back to face them both, the hero is actually pretty impressed. He notices our boy's lean physique for his height. Still, the fact that he made a mess of the guards here spirals the man to gear up for a fight, questioning if he's the troublemaker. The one thing I like about this guy is that he isn't offended for petty reasons. He actually believes that Dojin is misusing his powers as a hero by bullying civilians in his normal life. Of course, it couldn't be further from the truth since he only knows one side of the story, but it's still quite interesting to see realistic characters. The receptionist is enjoying the scene, knowing that this guy is actually a 7-year-old veteran hero. If something happens to him here, the guy has plenty of connections he can abuse by giving them Dojin's name. Without really giving a damn about who he is, our boy turns back and simply tells the boomer to piss off. This only spirals the guy into being provoked, because all of a sudden now it's really looking like he's being an asshole. Dojin asks if the guy is looking to exact revenge on him. Hearing those words, the veteran hero is provoked. However, being the responsible hero that he is, and from the experience he has, he knows that it is unwise to take battles against other heroes as it almost always results in deaths. It's actually an even higher rate of death than a fight against monsters. Recalling that fact, Bro literally chills out and turns his back, leaving the receptionist at a loss for words. Dojin turns to the sleazy appraiser and asks if he's got a problem he's looking to address. Before the guy could answer, he tossed a bag full of magic stones to appraise and convert into money. These precious shiny babies are all high-grade magic stones, which really begs the question on who this guy really is from the perspective of the receptionist. Calculating the amount winds up to be a total of 150 million won. It seems like a lot at first glance, but to Dojin, it's far too little for a day's worth of hunting. He asks for the cash, but the receptionist reminds him of the commission rate they have to calculate beforehand, which obviously draws a scary look from our boy. Remembering that the rate is only 1% in their little deal, he cools down and tells the guy to wind up the rest of the amount to him. Now, inside the mind of the hilarious appraiser, he wants to beat the shit out of the guy for having so much audacity, but it's only in his imagination that he can do that. Speaking of which, the receptionist expresses that there has to be approval from upper management for an amount this huge. Without wasting another breath, Dojin demands that he get the approval right this instance, so the guy quickly phones his boss, whispering the details of their situation. But before he can smoothly wind up a deal, Dojin snatches the phone and directly tells the boss to hurry up with the payment. The boss is okay with doing so, but he just wants the phone to be handed back to the employee. Returning it with pleasure, Dojin accidentally, or should I say intentionally, smashes the phone into the wall. The employee is shivering at the sight of his smashed device, as Dojin instructs him to quickly prepare the money now that things are cleared up. And that's how the receptionist prepared numerous bags full of cash for the transaction. By the end, the guy is left devastated at being forced in such a way. Maybe you guys feel pity for him, but remember, he continues to scam nearly half the amount that ordinary heroes earn after risking their lives. He's a scumbag. 10 minutes passed and the boss quickly found himself at his store, enraged at why his employee wasn't picking up the phone. The hilarious part is that the receptionist throws in the towel and embraces an immediate resignation. The boss then sees the guy's phone smashed into the wall, giving him a good idea of what went down. Seeing this, he pulls out his phone to call Juyeon, requesting that she come here at once. Juyeon appears to be a famous young woman donning beautiful purplish pink hair. She's so recognizable in public that people are celebrating her name as Hyun Juyeon and treating her like a celebrity. Not to mention that she looks dope as hell with that outfit. She arrives at the store and stuns the receptionist with her presence, giving him a nice greeting with a smile. There's a big reason why everyone's making a big fuss about her. She's the country's 4th S-rank hero in the lineup. Nothing short of amazing. People have sprouted rumors that she's the niece of the boss, but then it makes him question what she's doing here. Confirming the claims, Juyeon expresses that she was called here on behalf of her uncle's request to take care of a reckless hero. Intrigued about the situation, the stylish S-ranker sits down, ready to hear what's going on. In the next scene, we can find our boy with his absolutely ripped body, meditating out in the sun. It's true that he's been hunting for a whole day, and yet the rewards he reaped from it weren't amazing at all. With the way things are going, he's worried about the future. First and foremostly, he needs to get to a level where he can clear S-rank gates on his own. That means he has to train to restore his original strength. You heard that right, boys. It's training arc time. Dojun's biggest challenge in this current life is that unlike the previous world, the mana density of this one is thin. That means that even if he does his best to gather mana with his current rate, it will take 3 years at the minimum to come close to his original strength. Even more if things get rough. On the bright side, he could aim for better equipment for battle. But the issue is, even the most terrible equipment easily runs for hundreds of millions, so that would be wasting money. Suddenly a chill runs down his spine as he senses the presence of someone dangerous. Fixating his sight on Yunyang, he grabs the little girl at full speed and demands that everyone go inside quickly. Back inside, he shuts the room down while his grandma eagerly questions what's going on. The entire structure shakes with a loud quake, making his grandmother flinch and question in terror if they're having an earthquake. Little Yunyang is in a state of panic, but the truth is something only our boy knows. This isn't just an earthquake, it's something else. Dojun senses the sharp and violent energy outside. A rift has just cleaved open into their world, and it just so happens to have manifested on top of their house. Rushing to take care of the problem, he tells his loved ones to stay inside as the situation outside is dangerous for them. At full speed, he cuts into the entrance of the rift, where the last thing he hears is the cries of his grandma and his sister calling out his name. The scene switches to the Seoul Hero Association, where its members are made immediately alert at the sudden emergence of a rift on top of the Mapo region. It appeared after 63 days of the last emergence. Realizing that the White Lion Guild is the closest to Mapo, the manager wants his staff to contact the guild at once and alert the nearby heroes to join in to control the situation. Upon closer inspection of the rift's exact location, he discovers that the rift appeared on top of a residential home. This is a tricky situation even for them, because if on the off chance a civilian enters the rift, they're practically guaranteed their demise. Not to mention that the rift won't allow anyone else to enter after that. And if the person inside dies, it will send out a wave of crashing monsters in 10 days' time, causing chaos and destruction for the people living in the region. The monster wave would become so uncontrollable that Seoul's safety will be fully jeopardized. The manager is curious about the person who interacted and entered the rift. Turns out that they know Seo Dojin has taken action as he's the resident of the home. According to his grandma, he entered the rift to protect his family. From this information, they are under the impression that he's not a hero. And that complicates things because the chances of an ordinary civilian returning from the rift is next to impossible. This causes the entire staff to feel despair and helplessness for the situation, as they can do nothing. In the next scene, we actually find Dojin's pissed-off stepmom annoyed hearing the news of his new awakening. She can't believe her ears. Her assistant reports that while he hasn't officially registered with the Hero Association, they've come to verify that he's indeed now an awakened individual from his last gate experience. This makes her frustrated because Kang Cheolwoo was supposed to finish the job, and instead it only made her target even stronger. Going batshit crazy, she smacks her fist on the table, questioning why the hell they couldn't just manage to kill the guy on their own. The fact that they also took money for executing a failing job is also a reason for her to get angry. Roaring at manager Lee, she declares her frustrations with Kang Cheolwoo by sending him a message. If he doesn't kill Dojin personally, he'll owe her 10 times the amount in return. But to her surprise, her assistant surprisingly reveals that they may not even require contacting the guy anymore, sharing the discovery of the new rift just on top of Dojin's house. Having confirmed that he entered the rift, it's clear-cut that he won't be making out alive. Hong Hee-ju is happy to hear the news and the implication that he won't make it out alive. She calms down, appearing normal for once, and tells the assistant to assess the situation until they get more news. As for our boy, he's just arrived in the rift's domain. It's a forest. In fact, it's the same forest that he once used to enjoy his youth in while resting. The forest of Patiswa is exactly the same in its reconstruction down to the very last details of how he remembers it. Even the rich mana inside carries the same weight. Following the pathway, he smiles at his reunion with the all-powerful world tree. This tree exudes mana in its purest form, the most divine structure and the core of the world's stability. So much so that when the old world fell, it started when this tree was incinerated to the ground, forever tampering with the flow of mana. However, in this rift dimension, the tree is fine and just how he remembers it. Though he's unaware of the cause, one thing is for certain. He has a chance to reclaim the mana he lost by absorbing it from the tree. Meditating underneath the excellent flow of mana, our boy is getting his strength clearer and clearer. He spent more than 3 days sitting exactly like this, forgetting to eat or drink or tend to his bodily needs. 10 whole days passed, and all he could focus was on harmonizing his breathing. By the end of the 10th night, trouble came looking for him and disrupted his meditation. These alien-like creatures are called the Balkina, and they've come to burn the tree just like how they did it in the past. Only this time, our boy is there to prevent the tragedy from happening again. The creatures lunge forth to attack him while Dojin regrets being unable to have a water element sword to knock them all down with ease. The burning monsters roar to make their way to him, but our boy is replenished with so much mana that he no longer cares about a weapon. He is the weapon. And those hands are rated E for everyone. Extending his hand towards the monsters, he exerts so much authority from his mana alone that it knocks down one of them. The second creature is stunned by his ability. Let's break down what happened just now. What he did there is called mana release, and not exactly telekinesis. It's a blaster-type attack that uses raw mana as a detonation strike. It had been a while since he used this ability in such a way, considering he was low on reserves all this time. Anyway, the Balkina creatures aren't done just yet. To retaliate, they release charged blasts from their mouths in return. These pulsing laser beams quickly make their way to our boy, appearing the calmest he's ever been. His mana alone is enough to protect him from any damages. Stepping towards the creatures while he's ignited with a burst of mana, he remarks that he's finally protected the world tree. And now, he's ready to play for a bit and enjoy the fruits of his training. The ugly bastards are trying for another energy blast attack, but our boy quickly catches two of them and forces their mouths shut. This way, their own ability charges up and explodes inside their mouth, leaving behind a headless corpse of flames. The corpses of the creatures wither away, dropping 2 valuable magic stones for him to use. But that's just a couple of them down. Dojin is enjoying his life, thrilled to unlock something called the Eternal Ember after defeating these guys. Joyfully cutting his way past the monsters and smacking them all down with a grin, he's finally glad to steal a good load of mana stones from them. The one-sided slaughter continues until he wipes out all of them. Dojin has won the lottery ticket with how many stones they're dropping. Among them, he also discovers a small coin or a seed glowing in gold. This is called the Eternal Ember as he picks it up in his hand. With this, he's reclaimed control of more of his power as he crushes the chip and unlocks its flames. The way he's casually playing around with the ember reminds me of Sukuna from Jujutsu Kaisen. Now, in any normal case, the ideal strategy here would be to keep gathering mana from the world tree. However, the current state of his body has reached its physical limit for amna absorption. The second way of doing so is actually absorbing the ember, completely altering the state of his mana and transforming it into fire mana. And he does exactly that as his body produces a rush of flame energy. Now, unfortunately in his previous life, he felt zero need to do this and didn't care about the Eternal Ember at all. However, now it's required for him to fully absorb the embers, and it takes like 10 whole minutes just to get one finished. Luckily, he's got a whole bunch of these collected for him, so his goal is to absorb as many as possible. The appearance of the rift has sparked a public interest. The reporters are all gathered around our boy's house while agents and association staff are protecting the place. Bang Seonggu is pissed off because of one guy's arrogance to enter the rift prematurely. I have to point out that he looks like a carbon copy of Yeonho from Solo Leveling, but with a cleaner haircut, I guess. We also have our protagonist, but with blue hair. This guy is called Kim Hyunwoo, and he sympathizes with Dojin's actions to save his sister. But Seonggu doesn't buy that explanation at all, accusing our boy of heading in like a greedy guy who wasn't ready for the consequences. It would have been fine if he unalived himself the normal way, but if he dies in the rift, the place will become a detonation ground for monsters to come pouring out. And that's the issue, really. Hyunwoo asks for Gilma's input, and apparently Gilma has told them to just do things according to the protocols. Hyunwoo questions the recent emergence of rifts popping all over the world in various countries like the US, China, Switzerland, Turkey, and the UK. That's one reason Gilma is having a hard time managing so many rifts all at once. This kind of phenomenon doesn't really happen every day, and yet some of the nations were able to easily contain the threat with ease. But for South Korea, they're out here pissed as hell, because their situation could very well turn into a disaster because of one guy. Seonggu is so pissed that he wants to beat the crap out of the dude who went in and is begging for the rift to throw him out. Speaking of the gargantuan purple gate, 28 days have passed since its first appearance. The same goes for the number of days Dojin has spent inside. Now, the Hero Association is afraid, and has already cautioned the threat as a level 1 wave. Dojin's identity isn't revealed to the world just yet for privacy reasons, but they're calling him Ordinary Person S, for now. While the rest of the world is clueless about Dojin's identity, the boss of the money-lending organization catches on quickly and connects the dots. Even his assistant confirms the report to verify the information of his involvement. Kim Yong-gu plays as the right-hand man to the president Hwang Chang-sob. Chang-sob is curious and wants to know Dojin's chances of survival to make out in one piece. Yes, I said the thing. As a ritual of this channel, the One Piece is real. Moving on, the assistant is pretty damn certain that an ordinary person has roughly less than 1% chances of survival. But the mere mention of Dojin being treated as an ordinary person carves an amusing smile on Chang-soob's face. That same regular so-called person put his men in the hospital and gave them bandages for weeks. From the perspective of the world, they're vastly underestimating the abilities of the one civilian that went inside the rift. Now, Chang-soob is also interested in hearing the chances of someone surviving as an awakened individual. For that, his assistant believes that it would ultimately depend on the level of the hero, and it's tough to make a judgment call without accurate information. Even Chang-sub admits that fighting ability is different from pure surviving ability. And then it introduces a whole different level of complications when you're inside a rift of all things. Anyway, one thing is for certain. The bastard hasn't changed his ways. Chang-sub wants to protect Dojin's family, but not for noble reasons. Nah, this scumbag intends to sell the organs of his loved ones in case he doesn't make it back. And even if he does, he's gonna pin the blame of debt on him for taking care. This guy's the embodiment of a leech. The scene transitions to the mesmerizing world tree. Here, our boy is going full speed into his training arc as his body is now thriving with flame mana. He doesn't even know how much time has passed, but he's been grinding by absorbing hundreds of the firestones. With this, he's acquired so much fire mana that he can use it and manipulate it in any way he deems fit. Not to mention his resistance to the flames has increased as a side effect. Comparing his past self with his current self on the basis of fire attribute alone, he thinks he's surpassed his past self in a small capacity by mastering this ability. Embracing the world tree, he shares a tender moment with it. It's always served him in the time of need, even in the past, and even now. Because of that, Dojin is grateful for everything it has done for him. As for his mana stones, he's made up a small bag using vines to store them all. With the stones collected and stashed, Dojin fully understands that he'll probably never get to see the angelic tree again. But even still, he's hoping for their paths to cross if the divine tree ever finds itself in danger. Because when that happens, he will be ready to protect it with his life. Now I don't know about you guys, but I really enjoyed this gentle scene. That night, Dojin finally steps out into the outside world, emerging from the rift as a whole. Luckily, he doesn't sense anyone to be around, suspecting that most people probably thought he already died inside and that a monster wave would pop out at any time. However, he does detect the presence of someone strong nearby. Deciding to chase them down, he rushes to find the source. Shortly afterwards, he stumbles across the two agents. One pissed off and the other relaxed, both Hyunwoo and Seonggu from last time. Now he understands that these guys probably represent the association from their outfit alone. Which means in the off chance he gets caught, things will get really problematic. To combat that issue, he whirls up a ball of flame and chucks it into the air with a forceful lunge. That attack winds up finding its way across the building, resulting in a loud explosion upon detonation. Both Hyunwoo and Seonggu were on red alert the moment they heard the crashing sound. Realizing that it's actually fire, they decide to chase after it. There, they discover a bunch of people standing in horror. Seonggu questions what the hell is going on in the chaos. Meanwhile, our boy is impressed with his flame powers so far. Its precision is good, so it will do him wonders. In the memory of his old friend called Tusk, he wonders if the mage would be impressed by his current level of flames. After all, Tusk was known to be the strongest fire mage on the continent, and they shared a good bond. Suddenly, Hyunwoo's sharp senses alert him to look for the rift. It appears to be acting up and right before their eyes. It disappears into the mist. Both of the agents rush to the site to see what's going on. When they arrive, they can't believe that the rift's connection to their world is no more. As for our boy, he's just making his way to his next destination without any problems. News breaks out the following morning, concerning the state of the rift that lasted for a month in Mapo. It is announced that the rift disappeared 29 days after Seo Dojun entered the zone, proving the concerns of the Hero Association to be wrong about the monster wave. They have no idea about the unexpected disappearance of the rift, and they're currently investigating what went down. They also have trouble dealing with the cause of the fire that broke out at the time of the rift's disappearance in a junkyard. Now, this leads most people to believe that Seo Dojun is dead, and that this is just the consequence of his own actions. Unbeknownst to them, our boy is hidden in plain sight, observing the conflicting opinions of the people as some are sympathizing with the boy who lost his life. Unfortunately, the disappearance of the rift is heartbreaking news for our hero. He's devastated that he can't interact with the world tree anymore. Even though he can't protect the world tree, there is still one other thing he could protect in his life. Which brings us right to the HCS capital again. Inside, the idiots are busy celebrating the death of Dojin, believing that they can easily get rid of the old granny and his sister afterwards. Changzob is just the kind of guy to squeeze people to death after all. One bastard is talking about how they should let the little sister grow up so they can use her in other ways. While they're chatting without policing their own words, a familiar voice greets them and demands for their boss. The scene cuts off right there, and we get to see Changseob humming and going about his day, satisfied that Dojun is finally out of the way and dead for good. His assistant reviews their appointments for today. Apparently he's free for the most part except for a lunch with another CEO. Hearing that, he's happy because tonight he can enjoy partying to his delight at a club under Madame Kang. It's basically senseless chatter, until he steps into the building and as he's climbing stairs, he finds his men being tossed around like playthings. Their blood is splattered around, and the cause of it all is someone he presumed to be dead. Our boy throws him to the ground and tells the filthy Changseob to crawl back to him like a dog. That bone-chilling order from him has the president of the company quivering. Our boy acts like the real leader of the group and assumes his place in his chair. He then repeats his command to the ignorant Changseob, who is still processing the weight of the shameless order. Without wasting time, he crawls like a dog. Ruthless as ever, Dojin then orders him to bark as he deserves to be treated like an animal. His loud and clear utterance of the command has Chang Seob whining in humiliation. It takes a second for him to bark successfully. But our boy is not satisfied at all. Our boy personally makes sure to make an animal out of him, by forcing him to bark repeatedly for everyone to hear. The president is reduced to being less than human, just like the people he treats. Dojin points out that scumbags like him only act obedient on the surface, but end up backstabbing you right when they find an opportunity. Declaring his filthy name, he chillingly tells the man that his life has plenty of experiences dealing with second-rate humans like him. Pleading and begging for mercy, Chang Seob is prepared to serve like a loyal dog if necessary. But Dojin has heard enough and whips a heavy slap across his face. Just that much force is enough to knock the wind out of the guy and spurt out blood. His assistant watches the scene unfold until his name is called. Dojin addresses him as the new boss of the company and recommends that he stop working under a bastard like him. Knowing that these guys are so ready to stab people in the back, he orders the assistant to kill Chang Seob with full permission. Of course, it's a task too heavy for a competent servant like him. He apologizes and objects by stating that their leader has a lot of connections, so things will get really bad if he's the one appointed the boss instead of Chang Seob. On behalf of him, the assistant pleads to Dojin to spare the guy just one more time. However, Dojin doesn't want to play around with simple words in front of them. He suggests wrapping Chang Seob's body in a barrel and removing all evidence by shoving it in the endless ocean. After all, it's just one of the things these guys excel at doing. Seeing as the boss's servants aren't willing to oblige, our boy takes a different approach with them. Dojin threatens the entire group that he'll toss everyone in the gate as monster food if they don't carry out this order. Yeah, the mere mention of that has Chang Seob reduced to a pathetic mess. He can't take it anymore and keeps on begging for his life, promising that he won't ever betray and will always serve under Dojin. Now, this puts the hero in a bit of a contemplation. Although he could kill off Chang Seob right here and get rid of all his issues, something about him has changed in this life. Admitting it himself, Dojin has grown softer compared to his merciless past self. So this time he agrees, offering the guy a hand. I just know Chang Seob is about to become religious as heck after this, praying to God that he doesn't get on Dojin's nerves again. He goes on to shake the hero's hand, promising to serve unconditionally from now on. But wait, something is strange. Why is his hand engulfed in steaming hot flames? Yes, though Dojin has gotten soft, he's still ruthless. Looking at the man dead in the eye, he reminds the scumbag that it's his final chance indeed. Dojin then proceeds to rip his hand off clean, reducing it to a charred paste. By the end of the meeting, he walks away, ignoring the agonizing cries of the president. He does leave them with a final warning. If even a single one of them tries to get in the way of his family again, Dojin will personally ensure their deaths. As for their new job, they are forever deemed responsible to protect his family for the rest of their lives. Now that's how you handle traitors. Officially speaking, the man known as Seo Dojun was just a blip in existence that vanished along with the rift. In reality, he's actually dining in the local McDonald's. The government, Hero Association, and all kinds of media outlets quickly moved past him like yesterday's news. They all treated the civilian who entered the rift as a dead man. Even if he came out and told the world that he was alive, no one would buy it. Furthermore, surfacing after a solo rift mission would only bring headaches and trouble his way. That subdued dog, Huang Chang Seob, is currently helping him find a new and suitable house, so he can afford to move leisurely for the time being. Dojin finally got the chance to feed his sister some delicious fast food. He also informed her of their plan to move out to a better neighborhood, and she could not be any happier. She can now go to kindergarten like kids her age and enter elementary school the next year. When the topic of school came up, little Yunyang's mood took a turn for the worse. Dojin was alarmed. He is used to slaughtering abominable beasts, but coddling a kid is not in his arsenal. He was taken aback when her sister confessed how other kids tease her for being an orphan. Hearing his adorable sister's plight broke Big Bro Dojin's heart. If she does not want to associate with the mean kids, she doesn't have to. Those little bastards will get what's coming for them eventually. Finding out that she wouldn't have to attend kindergarten to be bullied anymore, Yunyang was hyped. Inwardly, Dojin is devising a plan to send his little sis to a prestigious private school where no one would dare look down on her. That night, Seo Dojin found out that Kim Eongu had stashed his grandma and sister in some random motel while he was stuck inside the rift. Glasses bastard almost broke his back trying to apologize. He reasoned that the motel is under the management of their company, so it is safer than any other place. Dojin does not have the energy to mess with lackeys tonight, so he just enters the room and sees his grandma once more. Little Yunyang pounced on him with a bear hug, and grandma held his hand with tears petering from her eyes. She's just glad to see her grandson come back alive. At first, the hardened warrior was stunned, but once he felt the warmth coming from his family, he accepted the love they had for him with a smile. Little Yunyang has taken a liking to McDonald's, so they've been dining in that absolutely real place a lot. Today, she asked questions about Big Bro's job, being a hero. When asked if she likes having a hero for a brother, Yunyang nonchalantly answered that she does not. While it is cool that heroes are strong and cool, they are also constantly in danger when fighting terrifying monsters. Sometimes they even die. And little Eunyoung just wants her brother to live with grandma and herself for a long, long time. Dojin had been so used to mindless bloodshed. Having someone worried about his well-being is quite a new feeling for him. In the harsh world of the past, he was the last human survivor. He fought monsters and creatures beyond your wildest dreams. In the process, he lost a lot of things. Now that he's given a second chance in a different world, something incredibly precious has appeared by his side. Feelings he had long forgotten are coming back to the surface. In this world, maybe he can live happily. Maybe he can just live a quiet life with joy and love. While he was feeling fuzzy and warm on the inside, Korea's Hero Association was in shambles. Na Tae-wong, founder of the Korea Hero Association and director of the World Hero Federation, has been stressing over the recent rift incident, or the lack thereof. Their best people have investigated the site, but no new information has been found. Feeling clueless about the state of his territory is frustrating the founder. It's not far-fetched to believe that a spontaneously disappearing rift can potentially reappear at any time. His assistant tried to agree with his worries. She thought it would have been better if a wave had occurred. At least they would not have to worry about unknown variables. Director Taewon cuts her words off before he gets angrier. While he is worried about uncertainties, he thinks it is fortunate that no one was harmed. Na Tae-wong is one of the top 100 respected and strongest heroes in the world. It is widely speculated that he would easily be elected with the most votes in history.